The following is a world-class Bullshitters exclusive.
What happens when you take a beloved Star Wars character and give him the Disney treatment? You get disappointment. The Book of Boba Fett is here, and well, not a lot of people seem to like it. As of this recording, the Book of Boba Fett is the lowest ranked Disney Plus series. The Book of Boba Fett is struggling to connect with audiences in the same way that pretty much all of Disney Plus's other major products have been able to do since the streaming service's inception. Across 2 seasons of The Mandalorian and 5 major Marvel shows, the Book of Boba Fett is getting the lowest audience reviews by quite a wide margin, as shown via Rotten Tomatoes. While the Book of Boba Fett's 90% critic score is pretty good, that's an average of only 6 score review totals. But with 1,000 audience reviews in, this is where the show stands. What If, 95%, Mandalorian Season 1, 92%, Hawkeye, 92%, Loki, 91%, The Mandalorian Season 2, 90%, WandaVision, 88%, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, 85%, and The Book of Boba Fett, 65%. As you can see, The Book of Boba Fett is not just last, but last by 20% lower than the former last place, The Falcon and Winter Soldier. So, what's going on here? As you can see, The Book of Boba Fett is not just last, it's last by being 20% lower than the former last place, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So I'm on board the whole why does this show exist train. I love Boba Fett, but Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi Boba Fett. Hell, I'd take Holiday Special Boba Fett. Boba Fett isn't as cool as he once was. Learning more about the character hurt his legacy. With Boba Fett, less was more. The quiet, deadly bounty hunter instills fear. The lame kid version, Jesus, don't even get me started. Boba Fett's bastardization began about 20 years ago, and the hits just keep on coming. The current version of Boba Fett is like the Walmart store brand. Yeah, it's everywhere and consumed by a lot of people, but is it any good? The fan scores say no, but what about those writing about the show? Well, they might tell a much different story. Okay, no they don't, but they're shitting on the Book of Boba Fett, and it's just as fun. The Book of Boba Fett has been pretty hit or miss so far, with just 3 episodes out. I have to admit that I've become deeply skeptical of the new Star Wars Disney Plus show despite a very strong second episode. Now folks, this comes from Forbes, the shill site. You know, the place where Scott Mendelsohn resides. He's like that dragon from The Hobbit, and instead of all of his treasure, he's just got mountains of bad opinions and terrible takes. But he'll fight you to the death on them. Just like Forbes. Let's start with the biggest problem of Book of Boba Fett before moving on to Episode 3's issues. Mostly my complaints with the show that revolves around its titular character, Boba Fett himself. First of all, Boba Fett is way too old in this show. In Return of the Jedi, Boba Fett would have been around 36 years old, or maybe 5 or 6 years past this film in the timeline, but Boba Fett is now in his 60s. Actor Tamara Morrison was born in 1960, making him 61 years old. Somehow, upon emerging from the Sarlacc pit, Fett is now an old man with a paunch. I'm not trying to be ageist here, by any means. Of course, Forbes, that's what we're concerned with. Morrison does a fine job in the role, and the show in general proves that people in their late 50s and older can still be badasses. Fennec Shand, actor Ming-Na Wen, was born just 2 years after Morrison, which still blows my mind. I'm not sure how anyone looks that good at 59. But the age here is a problem from a timeline perspective that I can't get past. The Boba Fett who got knocked into the pit during Luke and Han's grand escape emerged 20 years older, and somehow, it's weird. Grandpa Boba Fett is just an odd choice for this timeline. If he'd come back to Tatooine decades after becoming the Daimyo, no problem. But this takes place just right after the events of The Mandalorian's 2nd season, so just a few years after Return of the Jedi. It just doesn't work. Even if we could look past the Mando's show, it's much harder here. Maybe Grandpa isn't the right word. Maybe we should take a page from Gravity Falls and call him Grunkle Boba. I like that. I don't. Grunkle Boba, fuck you dude, is all wrong for a show centered around a notorious bounty hunter. For one thing, he's not a bounty hunter at all. He's a bizarrely naive would-be daimyo of Mos Espa, a lesser-known cousin city of Mos Eisley. The Boba Fett we knew in the original Star Wars trilogy was the strong silent type, lurking in the shadows, just like Shia LaBeouf, ready to work alongside Darth Vader and Jabba the Hutt without batting an eye, which we never saw because he was always hidden underneath that Beskar steel Mandalorian helmet. In every single possible imaginable way, Mando seems more like Boba Fett than Boba Fett does. It's weird. He's the bounty hunter. He's the strong silent type. He's about the right age. Actor Pedro Pascal is in his mid-40s. This and generally less compelling plots all make the Book of Boba Fett feel a bit much more like the poor man's Mandalorian. It can be interesting, especially with Dances with Wolves segment, but I also feel a bit forced. Which brings us to Episode 3, which somehow manages to be just the 3rd episode, but also extremely anticlimactic all at the same time. In the 2nd episode, we were introduced to the twins, 2 debaucherous Hutts carried around on a litter, incestuously intertwined with one another. The pair arrive in Mos Espa to claim their cousin Jabba's throne. They brought with them Chrysanthemum, an evil Wookiee bounty hunter who crossed paths with other famous Star Wars characters in the past. Episode 3 dispenses with all these characters. The Hutts give up their claim to Mos Espa, apparently because the mayor has conspired with the Pike Collective to give them control instead. The Pike Collective is the international spice smuggling ring that the Tusken Raiders and Boba Fett fought in Episode 2, taking down their glider train and demanding tribute for all the passages to cross the desert. We learn that Boba has a bone to pick with these fish aliens. In the past timeline, he goes to collect the tribute, only to be sent away and told by the Pike Collective that they won't pay, the Tuskens or the biker gang. He then returns to his adoptive tribe. He finds them all dead, killed by the biker gang he easily beat up single-handedly not that long ago. So much of this is anticlimactic. A showdown with the Hutts, a familiar but largely unexplored in the film race of powerful alien criminals, would be way more exciting than the goofy Pike Collective. And having the Tuskens, who we just came to know and who barely welcomed Boba into their tribe, all get killed off screen. That's just lame. I get the tragedy of it, but how can it fuel Boba's anger? It seems all too sudden and unearned. Surely there's a better middle ground somewhere. Boba doesn't have to rule like Jabba, but it doesn't mean he should spare everyone all the time. Surely being a boss of a crime organization demands some elements of ruling with fear. It's crime. If he wants to rule with respect, he should start a bakery or something. That's a Disney problem right there. Modern movies tend to think that your main character has to be morally righteous, virtuous, just, etc. No. We like Boba Fett because he's a bad guy and does bad things and captures the hero, and he does them in a cool fashion. Trying to make Boba Fett altruistic or a nice guy just undoes everything we like about the character, and that's why people are giving the show terrible reviews, because this show doesn't really get the character. Yeah, it disrespects the legacy, yeah, it shits on an established character that we all know and love, but it just doesn't get it. That's the problem that all of these entertainment properties have today. They're afraid to show the villain as a villain. They think if you're the titular character, you gotta be the good guy. Look at Michael Myers. Just a few short months ago, Michael Myers was accused of being homophobic and racist because he killed a gay couple in the new Halloween Kills movie. He's a serial killer, and we're worried about him not killing the right type of people. That's how fucking stupid society is. That's the type of shit we worry about with our entertainment, and that's why you get the book of Grandpa Boba Fett. The scooter kids are another problem that highlights where the show goes wrong. While The Mandalorian always felt incredibly in tune with Star Wars aesthetic, the scooter bikes looked like something from Back to the Future Part 2. I mean, I'd drive one for sure. They look shut up, dude. They look like they've been plucked from an entirely different universe and dropped into Mos Espa as a bad joke. All told, I'm pretty skeptical where the Book of Boba Fett is headed after Episode 3. I'm not a huge fan of wild variations in quality between episodes, but that's how this feels so far. Episode 1 was fine, Episode 2 was great, and Episode 3 was bad. What can we possibly expect from Episode 4? I'm not really on the edge of my seat to find out. Well, sorry dude, you're gonna find out in a moment. This show sits in a show's shadow, and Boba Fett himself is too much the kindly grandfather figure and not enough the frightening badass he needs to be. Don't get me wrong, I love the new Rancor and its surprising trainer Danny Trejo, and I'm happy, blah 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 blah. I never pictured Boba Fett finally scratching a Rancor's head as I imagined a Boba Fett TV show. What can I say? Without some major improvements in the coming episodes, this looks like it's going to be a pretty big letdown all around. I very much hope I'm mistaken. So it looks like Episode 4 is the turning point of no return, meaning this show will sink or swim as of today's episode. Look, seeing the ship was cool and the Mandalorian referenced was cool as well, but it doesn't undo the legitimate criticisms levied against the show before something cool happened. We're in the final 4 episodes of the season, and this is where it'll pick up, and some critics will become fans. I guarantee it. Mandalorian Season 2 wasn't that great, but once Luke Skywalker showed up, no one cared. That's what happened here. Disney's backed you into a corner with a shitty show? Bring back a fan favorite and watch the criticism just disappear, no matter how valid they were. It's the nature of the beast. It's the world Disney wants. Inundate you with crap, but before you realize it's all trash, dangle something from a better time in front of you and, ooh, my childhood. We've reached the point that The Mandalorian is already better times, and that's a new lap record. So folks, what do you think about the Book of Boba Fett? I kind of agree with the guy. The first episode was good, and then it's all a sliding scale of quality from here. I mean, go Vespa Rangers. We should just change it from Mos Espa to Mos Vespa. There you go. I'm going to put out a shirt. Mos Vespa Scooter Races. They'll make a hut out of you. I don't know. I'm just making this up as I go. I just put as much effort into that joke as they did episodes 2 and 3 of the Book of Boba Fett. But seeing your favorite characters old can be cool. Logan was fine. Actually, Logan was pretty good. I like Die Hard 4. There are other movies where we see the old characters come back, and it's pretty strong, pretty powerful, impactful. Disney Star Wars doesn't know how to make an impact. They want to bring the character back and market it so they can keep selling toys. They want to make it just good enough that people will go, ooh, Boba Fett, and buy a figure, a t-shirt, this, that, and the other. That's what happens when a company, a big corporation owns Star Wars, and not one guy. Beforehand, it was one guy's show. Yeah, maybe he made okay, he did make a lot of bad decisions. I'm not going to act like just because the sequels are shit, it undoes George Lucas's bad creative decisions. No, but when he was the only one in charge, the buck ended with him. The buck stopped there, and he kind of knew, for the most part, what he wanted to do with Star Wars, and he kept it good. Very good, in my opinion, for the most part. And now we have Star Wars by committee, and Star Wars by committee is lifeless, boring, dull, stupid, antithetical to what Star Wars is. Yoda once said, "My ally is the Force, and a powerful ally it is." Well, my enemy is Disney Star Wars, and a ridiculous enemy it is, because with stupidity and terrible scripting, you have destroyed some of the best characters ever created on this planet any time in history. I don't respect half the Star Wars crew anymore, and look, George Lucas could take Darth Vader, the most badass villain in the galaxy, turn him into Jake Lloyd, turn him into Hayden Christensen, and still make you like him by the end of episode 3 that you're interested to follow his story indefinitely. That takes some skill, that takes some time, and those are things that Disney doesn't have or want to use. So, what can you do? But I want to know what you guys think. Are you excited by the Book of Boba Fett? What is the score you would give it down in the comments below? 69, dude, that's a good number, right? That's the number of the beast. Well, a different kind of beast with 2 backs, but I digress. So folks, I'll be back next time with more. In the meantime, back Wokebusters. The action cover drawn by me with the colors by David Ocampo looks beautiful. You can find the video of me drawing the cover all over social media. It's over on my Instagram page. It's on our Twitter. It's on the World Class Bullshitters official Facebook. Go check that out. A lot of new backers. This has been our most successful span. We came back. Here we go. We're taking Wokebusters to the top. It's going to be the biggest ever. What is it? You know all this woke crap and entertainment that you hate? It's a story that makes fun of all of that shit. You see these people like Frost, you see these people on the internet bitching up a storm. Oh this, oh that, my identity, my this, my pronouns, my agenda. All of that shit gets made fun of in Wokebusters. It's hard to even bring up an example of all the woke crap we've dealt with over the last couple of years, but Wokebusters collects that all very nicely and blasts it out of existence. So folks, we can do this together. We can beat this stupid woke narrative and entertainment by backing Wokebusters and showing people that we want quality entertainment that isn't afraid to be funny or offensive. But folks, I gotta get out of here. I'll be back next time with more. So in the meantime, be smart, be safe, be cool, but always be excellent to each other.